What I want to talk about now is just a quick overview, basic introduction to VCV Rack. A lot of people have been doing videos on this and kind of showing this new version, but they're kind of jumping right into patches. And I just wanted to, for people like you guys who might not have ever used modular before, and you open up a synth and you look at this and you say, "What the heck am I looking at?" So I wanted to just give a quick overview and show one patch and just kind of make things make sense a little bit more for you. So this is VCV Rack2, which I'm using as a VST, which you have to pay for. It was free as a standalone, which is it's just great, and you can play around with it. But for complete integration into your DAW, I would definitely recommend paying for it if once you've played with it and you like it. Because it just makes it so much easier to use. I've been waiting for them to do this for a long time, so I'm super excited about it. And so basically, if you think about modular, it's just the same as fixed architecture synthesizers and VSTs and stuff, except that you kind of have to build them yourself. All the pieces are the same, except you get to choose the pieces and you have to make the connections. So whereas in a VST, you would open it up and you can just start playing and you turn something on and it works and you use the modulation matrices to do the routing. Here we have to do all the routing by hand. But it's not that hard, and it's not that if you just break it down, it's not overwhelming, I think. So the first thing to think about is when we open up a new patch here, it gives us two things. One of them is this MIDI to CV, and one is audio. So basically, this is the out, and this is the in. And so it's already hooked up to our DAW, which is the awesome thing about it, and you can choose the MIDI channel here. So now if in our synth, like if in Cubase, if I, play, if I hit a note here, right, it will eventually play, but I have to hook things up first. So anyways, we're going to figure out how to do this. We're just going to set up a basic patch, and I'm going to show you the layout. So the first thing what we can do is you can also download lots. They have thousands of modules available. My suggestion is do not download them all at once because it's just too much to get your head around. So start with maybe a couple of things. I really love Instruo, the braids. Mutable instrument stuff is good, but really the basic ones that they have enough stuff that you can use. So I would start playing with it and then go back in and download them all. So anyways, let's start off and think about what is the first thing we need. Well, we need something that makes sound, right? So I'm going to show you guys, we're just going to take the Neoni from Instro. And so all we have to do here is we take the output. And so like this is a sawtooth output. So if we take the sawtooth output and put it there, it's automatically playing. Now, why is it going all the way? Because this is what oscillators are. The signal is constantly playing. When when you have to hit a note to turn on the synthesizer, this is the same in your. If you have a virus, if you have any, well, not on a computer, I mean, but analog stuff, they're all the second you power it on, it is spitting out that signal. It's just that you're not capturing it. It's not going anywhere. So, you think about these things, they're constantly running, and all we have to do is kind of build our patch to make, to be able to control these things. So right now, this is just playing, and what we can do to start hooking things up is if we take, so voltage per octave, right? This is and we put this into the voltage per octave here, right? So now if I play a note on my keyboard, right? I'm choosing the note, but as you know, there's no envelope, it's still just triggering, right? Oops, sorry. So, how do we make it trigger from playing the keyboard? So we need an envelope, right? So let's just take an ADSR, and then this is the key thing here that is a little bit difficult about the first thing when I first got my modular. I bought a bunch of oscillators, some filters and stuff, and then I said, wait a minute, how do I apply an envelope? And in the in soft synths and stuff, you would just apply the amount or use the modulation matrix. But here we need what's called a VCA, voltage controlled amplifier. And so just to talk about these things, like what voltage controlled means that it's controlled by voltages, right? And CV means control voltage. So if you take, these are the things that are really important about it. And this is why it's called VCV Rack, Virtual Control Voltage Rack. Okay. And so you have different things. And then MIDI, remember that with the different types of things that we have from MIDI, right, are you get your voltage per octave, which is different than CV just because it's 1 volt per octave, whereas CV is not 1 volt per octave. It's like a plus or minus 10 volts. So anyways, this just makes it so that each step is, a different note on the keyboard. You have your gate, which is the length of the keyboard press, velocity, aftertouch, the mod wheel, pitch wheel. Then you have your clock, retrigger, start, stop, and continue trigger. So these are just the different things that we're getting from the MIDI device. And so one of these is going to be our, gate, our trigger time, right? So if we put this gate into the gate of our, now when you see I'm clicking my keyboard, we're getting our thing to hit. And so then we want to apply it. So what we need is what's called a VCA, voltage controlled and amplifier. So what we want to do here is just run the signal through it. So if we go in and then out. And then now if we take the envelope from our ADSR and put it into this. Now, if I hit this, you see it is triggering the envelope. So now we have, and if I let go, it's off. And we have our decay here, we have our sustain, and our release. Right? So we're getting there. Now, what's the other thing that we, want in a thing? Well, a filter, right? So let's grab a filter. And so in filters are called VCFs, voltage controlled filters. Right? And so there's tons of different types that we can get here. Let's just pick something. Well, in sticking with the, why not? Let's just use the basic one so you can see. So now, before we go in, I'm just going to stop through into our filter on the way. So if we go here and let's take a high pass, right? Why not? And put up some resonance. Okay. I'm going to delete this one, actually. And I am going to, let's stick with Instro. They have a bunch of different ones. Let's take this one. Why not? Okay, so if we then go out the saw into the in, and let's take the high pass and go out. This is our cue. Right? And now, the other thing we could have is, an LFO, right? So let's just grab, we'll just do this one so you can see, right? So we have a basic wave shape here. And this is, I guess, the wavetable out. So if we put into the CV here. There we go, I see. So let's put the... So this is modulating this, and this is the amount, right? So we don't need to go through a VCA here because this one has an attenuverter on it. So if you have an attenuverter, you can skip. So now it's just, this is not applied, right? And then now it's modulating this, right? So we've already got, a basic thing going here. And as you can see, that if you just think about it as individual pieces of the, fixed architecture synth, you know, it'll make a lot more sense. And obviously, you can read the manuals on all of these devices that can help a lot. But, if you start small and work your way up, it'll make a lot more sense to you. And so this is the key thing here, is that if you're trying to apply an envelope or an LFO or something to a signal path, you either need to go through a VCA or something that has an attenuator, because you could just put this, we could put this output right into, say, the voltage per octave of the synth, right? Let's say here. So now when I'm playing, I can't tune the note, but this thing can. See? And it's going to come down here. But I can't control the amount because there's no amount here. There's no attenuator. So how do I control the amount? So this would be if I wanted to run this LFO into the coarse pitch here, which I might want to do. This is how you make squelchy sounds. But you don't want it necessarily full on and full off. You want an amount, right? So you would just pass it through a VCA, but in this time, you don't have a CV signal, so then you're controlling the amount here. So all the way down, not doing anything. Now I'm controlling how much of this is controlling this. All right? So if you're ever thinking, how do I attenuate that? How do I make it, how do I do the amount of it? Well, you're probably missing a VCA. And so, yeah, this is just the very, very basic, just kind of walk through of thinking about it. And the key thing here is, right, you need to just route the things together. And if you're trying to input a modulation into a signal path, and there's no way to attenuate the signal by using attenuators, like here, attenuverters, this one has it, this one, doesn't. Some of them have, this is the attenuator or attenuverters. The difference is attenuators from 0 to full, right? Attenuverters is you have, they're bipolar, so you can go, you can invert it, right? So this is a positive or the negative way, right? And to 0 in the middle here. So attenuverter, attenuator. Different, but those are what you're looking for. If those are in there, you won't need to go through a VCA, but otherwise you're going to want to go through a VCA just so that you can attenuate the signal. All right, so that is my super basic, very, very basic, just intro to plugging things in and getting things going. And let me just do one last thing here. Sorry, I forgot. If I want to show you, so this is a clock thing, right? So this is a sample and hold. And so let's say we wanted to, instead of modulating this make squelchy thing, we'll put this back. No, well, we can leave that, and then what I want to do here is use the clock out, because this is a sample and hold. So now we want the clock. We need to get some signal from the synth here. So signal from our from the DAW. So we have the clock divider output here, and this is really useful. So we can put into the input here, and then if we hit play, are we playing? Oh, sorry, I'm not going into a clock in. This is clock input. So now you can see it's dividing, and we can choose the division of the clock here, right? So it's on quarter notes. We could do 16th notes, right? Now it's on 16th notes. So now, we could then take the output of this and put it to, say, here. So now... just to give an example, right? So, but I just wanted to show how you can clock things, right? So these are the clocks, and you can divide this one into different notes, which is nice. This one is always going to be on the actual, on the fast one, so you can divide here. right? So that's the clock there, and that is useful. Okay, so basically that's what I just wanted to show you, the very basic setup for plugging things in, using VCAs, modulating stuff, and now I want to show you a patch that I just was working on last night, which just takes in some of these things. So I'm going to open up this, yep, clear. All right, so what I've got going on here is I'm not triggering anything. I'm using the clocks. This thing doesn't need to be here. I'm using the clock to trigger the gate, so it's going 16th notes every single time. Then I have the clock also clocking. You see there's 3 of them going here. One to the trigger of the ADSR, one to this one, and one to this. Just so that they're clocked at the same rate, it's just that it's random, so they're 2 different randoms. You can see they don't match up, right? Then what I'm doing here is I have the filter, and I'm modulating it with the attenuator here, and there's a high pass, right? Then I'm modulating using the random output to clock this. Oh wait, here. There we go. There we go. I just had to change the key of the thing, and this is 2 Neonis, right? So I'm taking the saw output of 1, going into the FM input, and then this is the amount, right? So nothing. No. Then this course kind of controls the master pitch. And then this one is like the timbre, right? And I'm using the through 0 mode. Nice. And then I'm modulating here. This output is also coming to the CV input here, which with this switch on, up, it is the destination of this CV attenuator, right? Down to the wave folder, up, it modulates the split sawtooth. Right? So it's modulating this around. And then so let's just hear this. So pretty cool, right? So this is why this plugin, I mean, this thing has so much potential because you have so many cool things like these 2 Neonis. I have the real one in my here, and you know it sounds awesome. So there's just so much you can do, and you see here I'm not even triggering, I'm just using the clock to make a sequence, and then using 2 randoms to modulate some of the parameters, and we're getting a really cool pattern already. So yeah, that is the basics of VCV Rack that I wanted to show you, and can go into more detail later. But I just wanted to give a rundown to kind of just break it down so that it doesn't seem so formidable, and it's something that you can easily get into and you can experiment around. But so now I just wanted to show you how would I polish off one of these sounds, right? What would I do with it? How do I fit it in? Because that one's going all over the place right there. So let's do our tricks that I showed you before. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to record. Well, actually, one thing I kind of liked here is that I was getting 2 different notes. So what I'm going to do is I'm in, what are we in? F. So I'm going to go here. And I'm not sure, I can't remember which ones, but I just want to, what I want to do is just get, because this coarse knob is changing the frequency of it. So let's just see here if I'm in. I think we're up too high. Yeah. So let's take these and go down one more. And so now what I want to do is I could record it, but I'm just going to show you in here in the things. Let's do exactly what we did before, because this is kind of like all over the place. So let's just try using a similar thing as before. Let's take Infiltrator. Let's just do it with Infiltrator. So the same thing I was showing before. We just want to get some modulation going on a filter and then running through some delay. And on this one, maybe we'll use stereo, something like that. Let's see what happens. Exactly. Something more like this, right? You can even then put some other like So now let's listen with one of the other ones, right? It's maybe going down a little too far here. So just an example here, you know, but again, like just by putting So something like that, you know, just to mix the two together. So anyways, just the point to try to show you how, you know, afterwards you could finish that thing. Yeah, you also can, as I said, put on other things, like even if we just if we put on, I really love, going back to this, I love the phasers and flangers and stuff from Yuhi here. Now, just to hear it for a second, I'm just going to, let's go to washed or something like that. Right. There we go. Right? Sounds super cool. So, pretty cool. That is basically everything I wanted to show you guys for now.